Oh, good. I thought maybe it sounded like they had somebody in mind, but that's good.
Yeah, no.
I'll read your thing then.
Okay, it's time. We're ready.
Go for it.
Oh.
What? No, we didn't. Lost my agenda. We're waiting. Welcome to the July 13th City Council meeting at 5:30 p.m. We're going to call the meeting to order. You all please stand for a minute. We'll have a minute of silence, then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, David, you want to lead the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Dyak is excused. Vice Mayor Kojin?
Here.
Councilor Leitner is excused. Councilor Yank?
Here.
Councilor Lee is excused. Councilor Augie?
Here.
Councilor Carey?
Here.
Mayor Dyak decided to spend his anniversary with his lovely wife for 43 years instead of joining us, so we'll let him be excused. First item is the priority list. Discussion possible action by City Council pertaining to City Council strategic priorities. Does anybody want to bring something up? Nope. Next item is discussion possible action by City Council pertaining to City Councilors' individual priorities.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to take a couple minutes to address an individual priority.
Okay.
In my opinion, as a person who's lived here for a dozen years, the state of the city of Page is very good. We've come through some rough times financially. We've come through the worst personnel emergency, so to speak, that we could have thought of with the COVID pandemic. Citizens, staff were resilient and strong and came through. And I think this is a great stepping off point to do bigger and bigger and better things. And I'm speaking specifically of a very comprehensive parks improvement plan. There's a number of discussions going on now about a aquatic facility, possibilities there, about a recreation facility. I think that this is a great time to start thinking about investing in our citizens. Our tourism economy is rebounding. Again, we didn't even have to dip into our rainy day funds to cover 2 years worth of slashed budgets. So this city, I think, knows what it's doing and knows how to do things and can maintain a larger parks department. It's going to be crucial for our quality of life, and it's going to be crucial to recruitment of employees of all of our industries, all of our service industries, our schools. Everybody wants to live in a nice town, and a nice town is defined by its parks, its recreational facilities. We're in a good shape financially. We have extra money outside of our rainy day fund that is possible as a seed or even as a complete funding instrument for some of the proposals that might come through this process. I don't have the answer. I know that when I was part of the team that put together the parks plan for the city, which is about 4 years old now, this was a hard question. And that's why it's not in the plan, because it was going to take a very involved community effort, and we had a limited amount of planning funds. We did a few community workshops. This is a great plan, has some great stuff still to be done in it. It doesn't have the big recreation facility or aquatic facility in, because that's a hard question. What do we want, and how are we going to pay for it? But I think this is the time that we can do those conversations. And I'm counting on a number of avenues. I know the Parks and Recreation Board is interested. I know there's a number of citizen groups that are interested, and I'm asking our council to move forward on what is in our strategic priorities and certainly in my individual priorities as far as a major program of parks improvements in the city of Page. It would be a wonderful gift to ourselves for our 50th anniversary, which is in 2025. Thank you.
I got one priority. I'd like to move it based on the letter that Darren sent about the Fair Club. I think we need to push that back to the front, because without that facility, to build an aquatic center is pretty near impossible. We need some kind of
Yep.
A place to put it, and with a building already there, so we can make that even feasible, I think, so.
And to let you know too, I spoke with SRP after that letter and discussed with Fraser, and he told me that that literally was the best proposal they have seen so far, because they've been approached by several nonprofits. He said any rumor that that's for sale is not true. They're going to donate that property as their last final leaving gift to a nonprofit that will use it properly. So, I mean, the city has a great opportunity. I mean, it just goes hand in hand with what we're trying to do, and to make that sports complex with the splash pad, with the baseball fields, with the soccer fields, with a recreation center that has basketball courts and climbing walls and racquetball courts, and and then potentially some sort of aquatic. That's the biggest discussion I think that'll need to happen. How big and what does that entail? But I mean, there's 17 acres that we could use.
Do we need to reach out to some legislative pressure, or what do we need to do to make this happen?
Funny you brought that up, because we'll be discussing a lobbyist group tonight. So,
Okay.
yeah, which we'll discuss.
All right. Next item is minutes.
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to the consent portion of the agenda. The consent portion of the agenda is a means of expediting routine matters. All items approved will be done in one undebatable motion passed unanimously. Any item may be removed for debate on the request of any council member. Items removed from the consent portion of the agenda become the first item of business under regular agenda.
Move to approve the consent portion of the agenda.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Next is public hearings. We have none. That'll bring us to hear from the citizens. Members of the public may address the city council on matters that are not listed on city council agenda. City council cannot discuss or take any legal action on any matter that during the call to the public unless the matter is properly noticed for discussion and legal action. At the conclusion of the call to the public, individual members of the council may respond to criticism made by those who have addressed the council, may ask staff to review the matter, or may ask that the matter be put on future agenda. Is there anybody who would like to speak during the citizens portion? You can be first.
Good evening, Mr. Vice Mayor and members of council. My name is Kenna Hettinger, and I've lived here in Page for about a year and a half now. First of all, I just want to say thank you for everything you guys are doing for the city. I think there are some really great projects in the works to help beautify and improve the city, and I'm so grateful for those. And I'm also really grateful that we're still trying to be financially and fiscally responsible as we're making these improvements to the city. I'm excited about the recent momentum that we've seen and heard around an aquatic recreational facility. I think this would be an incredible community service for our citizens. I do know that there are some concerns around the costs associated not only with building the facility, but then maintaining it annually, especially with the $30 million pool that's being built in Avondale right now that started at $16 million and has just continued to increase in costs with everything that's going on in the world. Avondale is 11 times the size of the city of Page and requires different features in an aquatic recreational facility to serve their citizens. I think alternatively, Moab, Utah is much more similar to Page in terms of population at 5,300. Their city budget is $17 million for fiscal year 2023, and it's also kind of a remote town known for its tourism and outdoor high adventure activities. Moab is able to support their combined aquatic and recreational facility, which costs between $900,000 and $1 million per year to maintain on that budget. This facility cost $6.5 million to build back in 2009. I understand that building costs are not anywhere near where they were in 2009, but if we look at inflation from 2009 to 2022, average prices have increased about 1.36 times during that time frame. And so that facility would cost about $8.84 million in today's dollars. Again, I know that that's not a fair, completely apples to apples comparison, but just looking at the data, I think it shows that there is the possibility to build a facility smaller than the one in Avondale and still give some really great features. For example, that Moab Center includes a 24,000 square foot facility with an indoor 6-lane competition pool, diving boards, a shallow water area, an 18-foot slide, an outdoor lap pool, a current channel, a leisure pool with 0 depth entry, play structure with slides and fountains. It also has a fitness center with weights and cardio machines, childcare, a multi-purpose room, locker rooms, and public showers. So if we just wanted to transport that Moab Center here to Page, I think we'd all be fine with that. The facility generates about $528,000 in revenue per year, so it's covering 52% of its operating costs each year. I believe this shows that an aquatic center can do really well for both residents and tourists and can be feasible within a budget like Page has. Knowing that cost is a big concern in relation to this facility, I created a survey for the citizens of Page to determine what features in a recreational aquatic center are most important to us. So far, I've received 95 responses to that, and I'm excited to share these results more formally with you through some sort of petition, but did want to call out just a couple of those results tonight. So first, when asked which of the following is most important to them, 46% of respondents said an indoor pool, 37% said an outdoor pool, and 17% said that a recreation center was most important. When asked which of the following is least important, 55% said a recreation center, 30% said an outdoor pool, and 15% said an indoor pool. We would love to see a combined recreational and aquatic facility here in Page, and I think it really could serve our citizens so well. But if we build a recreation center and we don't include a pool or an aquatic center specifically in those plans, I really think that we're not serving the desires and the wants of the citizens in Page. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else want to speak on something that's not on the agenda? All right. Move on to the next item, which is reports and announcements. Mayor left me a note tweet. It was a COVID update. Coconino County had 901 new cases reported in the last 2 weeks, and the CDC community level rating is medium. Masks are optional, but recommended in indoor settings. The next item is the election information. The primary election is on August 2nd. The 2 local voting locations are here in the City Hall and at the high school. Early voting in City Hall is until Thursday, July 28th, except we're closed on Fridays. And then there's a county drop box for early ballots outside the front doors of the City Hall. Last day to request an early ballot was July 22nd. Unfortunately, it's now too late to register to vote in the primary election. Thank you. That brings us to the manager's report.
That is the shortest mayor's report we've had in quite a while, so.
Does that mean it gets less pay?
The first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce to council and the audience, actually, our new assistant fire chief, Joe. Let me make sure I get your name right. Noonchester?
Perfect.
There you go. I'll let Joe, if you want to talk to the council a little bit. It came down to 2 finalists. We brought both of them and their family up to interview. And after we got the 2 individuals in town, I think Joe stood out and by far was the most compatible with what our fire department is looking for. His experience is broad ranged. So hopefully we can see Chief Reed take a few more vacations and enjoy life a little more. So Joe, I'll leave it to you. There you go.
Is that a good sign that he brought backup with him?
Yeah, as they slowly started to drag in, I'm like,
Thank you all so much for allowing me to be here today. It's quite a privilege to stand in front of you as part of this team, and especially part of this team right here. I've worked in the fire service nearly 20 years now full-time, and I can honestly say that this is the best group of people I've ever been with. What a great fire department this city has. I'm very privileged to be here. Chief Reed has done some great things, and these guys are wonderful. And the gals that we have. We don't have any gals here tonight, but what a great place to be, and I'm very honored to be here as the Assistant Fire Chief, and I look forward to serving this community. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And to let you know, Joe is the first one taking advantage of our short-term rentals.
Okay.
Thank you for that, too.
Yep, so we got him in there with a handshake with Ron right now, and Josh is still working on the contract that you'll see next. I guess I shouldn't speak for Josh, but you'll see it soon. Back him into a corner in the public, but also to let council know that Kyle and I sat down and we worked on some priorities for his budget in the upcoming year. I know that council has heard from the citizens about sidewalks and wanting us to do whatever we can to get more installed. So the first ones that we're looking at is starting at South Lake Powell at the high school and going down to Arrow. And then, is it Arrow?
No, Osprey.
Osprey on Coppermine. And then potentially from there down, doing an asphalt down to like Ron's place there. Estimation from Kyle just for that short part right there is between $400,000 and $500,000. So when we start doing these projects, I don't think people really realize how expensive they are. So Kyle's already began working with the engineers on some of that, and then we'll kind of prioritize from there, but that right now is his number one goal. I do want to let you know that next week will be my final week. I'm not resigning, but my surgery comes up the following week, so I'll be heading off to Rochester. They figure about 10 days in the hospital, and then I have to be there for about a week and a half, 2 weeks for them to monitor my wound in the back. And so I hope to be available starting then. I get pretty antsy after a while, so I'm taking my computer. I will be at the 27th meeting, but I have to have my MRIs and all that kind of stuff on the 28th, so I'll be in Rochester at that point, zooming in. But to let Kenna know that Robin has been spending quite a bit of time in my office on the swimming pool as well as the recreation facility and splash pad. We have some actually pretty good architect renderings already and some engineering plans. So I let council know a couple meetings ago that we would start bringing this stuff to them when we get some firm costs. And you're right, Avondale, if you talk to them, they are just in shock of what it's end up costing them. So hopefully we don't commit to the facility that they wanted either, though. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Can I just relay a thanks for the wonderful July 4th activities to all the folks on your staff that were involved in that. I know it's a big affair to run a citywide event, and I didn't stay there the whole day, but the parts I enjoyed, the parts I was at were great.
Very big success, and you can think that Sherry is the new one spearheading the special events. That was basically their second one that they've stepped into. I think they're learning each time they go. So they've got lots of new events on their calendar. We'll see how it goes.
And I'd like to add, during my many walking around Page, the sidewalks, current sidewalks in Page, there's a lot of areas that need, especially your curves, stuff like going down streets, that need to be rehabilitated.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they're just really bad.
Well, maybe when we get that crew in here, we can orange line some of those things. But I can give you a shovel too if you'd like to start.
I would need probably a sledge, a real light one, maybe 1 or 2 pound
No,
sledge.
he's not allowed to have any tools.
Yeah.
Next item is unfinished business. We have none, so we're going straight to new business, which first item is the present.
Liaison?
Skipped one whole section. I skipped.
Are there any liaisons?
Okay, fine. Do we have any liaison reports?
PUE met last night. There was a lot of discussion about the possible rate increase for water. They voted, and they are going to advertise for a rate hearing with no increase in any rates.
Okay.
So it was water, not power.
What else, a liaison report?
Want to talk a little bit about Parks and Rec?
No, I was just attending Parks and Recs, and
I was too, but
we were both at the Parks and Recs board. I'll let Dave give a summary. You were paying more attention.
really. Anyhow, Brian gave a very in-depth speech, and that's why I said rehashed it. But no, they really started going after the priorities and stuff like that, the budget, priorities they had, and it was actually a really good discussion on that. So they have 3 new members, and I don't remember their names, but
Victoria Redshirt, Armenia Tenpenny, and I can't remember the third new one. But Crystal Shotman,
Yes,
who also agreed to be the vice chair, so she stepped right into it.
so anyhow, but it was a very good meeting, and there are a lot of people involved in a lot of different committees and commissions really trying to make things move here in Page. So that seems to be, we have a really vibrant volunteer people in town. So
Okay, now I'll let Tom do his presentation. You gonna start him off, or is he gonna start off?
Yeah, I think the council knows that this is Tom Dorn. Tom represents the Dorn Policy Group, who actually was the lobbyist group that spearheaded getting us the $5 million for our new roundabout. So Tom's going to give us a little presentation on some of the work he did last year and a wrap-up of the legislation this year and some different items that we might want to keep an eye on.
Thank you, Tom.
Hello, Mr. Vice Mayor, council members, thank you for having me. Do you want me here or there, or does it matter?
Oh, that's good.
It's good? Okay. All right. This is the clicker. Right? Okay. Obviously. Well, thanks for having me. First of all, Vice Mayor, how much time do you want?
Minutes.
How much?
Oh, no, go
Well,
ahead.
Darren told me I have 5 minutes.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So what do you?
However long it takes, go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm a talker, so I'll go as fast as I can because I'm driving.
Throw the little hammer at you, it's been talking
Okay,
too
yeah, I'm
long.
going down the hill, too. So your annual visit from the soup from Phoenix, so glad to be here. And bearing good news this year, and that's a good thing. So we're really happy with the outcome of the legislative session so far. You know, it's finished, but I'll give you an update on everything that we accomplished down at the legislature this year, and it's always nice when the state of Arizona has money. Just to recap the politics of it and then get into the issues a little bit. As you all know, very close margins in the House and the Senate, 31-29 and 16-14 in the Senate, Republican majorities. Now, as you can imagine, every Republican in the House and every Republican in the Senate was the most powerful person in the state of Arizona, not the governor. It was them having to, it was truly a tail wagging the dog because a Republican could hold out for something. And that's what happened, and that's what happened to the budget. And conservatives, and I'll get into that, conservatives decided that they were not going to vote on the budget, so that's when all broke loose and a lot more spending occurred. And that's where we seized the opportunity because we were ready for it, and that's what happened. Legislative session, just for y'all, our Constitution says 100 days we're supposed to be done with our state legislative session in 100 days, and that's always around April 18th or so, right around Easter time. And of course not. We're growing up as a state. We're like the 14th largest state now, so there's a lot of public policy issues, and it takes forever, and the politics are much more intense. So almost 2,000 bills were introduced, and the governor signed 342, and he vetoed 4. Real quickly, just to give you a look at the budget, and our state is we're generating a lot of revenue because during COVID, a lot of people were purchasing things online, and we started to collect sales tax on that. And so you'll see where the green is our revenue, and red is our expenditures. And pretty much they tried to keep expenditures low, but you'll see this big shoot up here in the last 2 years. It's because the Republicans have had to go get Democratic votes, and that costs a lot of money, with all due respect, because of spending. The budget is just over it was close to $18 billion. It was over 16, but the extra $2 billion was a accounting issue. So anyway, here's what the pie is, and just so you all know and everybody in the public knows, education, before I get to the city issues, just want to give you this quick overview. Education, all that red is education. So when people say there's not enough money going to education, maybe there's not, maybe the pie's not big enough, but just so you know, well over a majority of our funding does go to K-12 education in the universities. Transportation highlights, as you know, we worked really hard on the roundabout at Lake Powell Boulevard, and that was one of the original issues that we came together and started helping you on. And at the end of the day, just so you all know, down at the Arizona Capitol, whoever's in charge, whether it's the Republicans or the Democrats, they try to put together a budget on their own without Democrat votes. And so from Arlando Teller to Jimicita Peshlikai to Jasmine Blackwater Nygren, they've all been very helpful, and Myron Sosi and Senator Hitalfi. But they were all Democrats. And so when the Republicans are trying to put this budget together, they're only counting on Republican votes. And so I went to Representative Walt Blackman, and I talked to him about it, and I said, you're rural Arizona, you've been supportive of other projects in rural Arizona, will you do this for Page? Because it's really difficult to get through this gridlock because of the Republican majority requirement and unwritten requirement. And so he helped out. He's the one that went to the appropriations chairs and helped make that happen. So Representative Walt Blackman, thank you for what you did for the city of Page. Soon thereafter was when the governor and the majority, the leadership said, we're going to talk to the Democrats to get votes. And that's where Senator Hitalfi, she was ready to go, and she had her list, and on it was the roundabout. So in a way, she was responsible for it too. I mean, Blackman did it when there was a Republican-only budget, and then she secured it also. So I give them both credit, and I've told them both that. So they thank you to both of them. And Blackwater Nygren also was doing some work too on it. So thank you to them.
Tom, all three of them crossed party lines and voted for the budget?
Yes. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. The Navajo Nation they got a lot out of the state budget. Yes, they did. Yeah, from the state general fund. And
what did the other Democrats think?
Well, other Democrats got things too. Yeah. It was just, and the speaker and the president, they were like, fine, you far-right conservatives, you choose not to spend any money. Well, you just spent a lot more money because you wouldn't vote for the budget, and we had to do something before government shut down. Right. So it's maddening at times. But at the end of the day, people were very happy with the bipartisan budget. It just was more expensive. With regard to, there's also designs with regard to, we're at 89 and 89A, the turnoff down there before you climb the hill. That's going to be improved also. They got $3 million for that. And the State Aviation Fund, they're not sweeping that anymore, so hopefully Page will get some money out of the newly funded, better funded State Aviation Fund. Going fast, Mr. Vice Chair. WIFA, we've been working very closely with the governor's office on trying to get money for the water issue. You know, the straw, the intake pipeline, the conveyance pipeline, and the water treatment facility. Now, at the end, we've been talking to the governor's office, and they've always been, they're like, what does Page need? When we sent the letter in April, they were responsive. Katie Ratliff, the governor's deputy chief of staff, she called me right away and said, what does Page need? We want to help. And so we've let them know everything that we're trying to pursue on the federal side, working with Carollo and to get drawdown federal money from O'Halloran and Kelly and Cinema, working with them. But so they know that we've let them know that we're doing that. And now with the big legislation that passed, the WIFA bill, the Water Infrastructure Financing Authority. When the governor wanted to have this big water authority that was going to help disperse funding for water augmentation and other things, conservation augmentation, but they couldn't pull it together, too many interests. So they put money into WIFA. And so the city of Page, can apply to WIFA, and I was talking to the governor's office yesterday about it. When can we apply for specific projects with regard to the straw conveyance pipeline and the water treatment facility to help, because we need to add this cost up. It was, 36.7 million, now we're up to 44 million with the inflation and all. So we need lots of different pots of money to cobble this together. So we're working with the congressional delegation as well as the governor's office and the state legislature. And so there will be opportunities. So it's going to be squeaky wheel gets the oil. We're just going to keep pushing it and keep pushing it. And one of the things I keep telling them, Page is in the Upper Basin. So this has nothing to do with you developers in Phoenix and Tucson fighting with farmers. It has nothing to do with it. And by the way, the city of Page, with its tourism, gives this much money to the state of Arizona General Fund. So $10 million next year or 15 the following year, the ROI by helping Page survive is incredible. So from a state general fund standpoint. So just so you know, they're hearing us because we keep talking to them, and they know it. The governor's chief of staff knows it, and WIFA knows it. We met Brian Hill and myself and Corolla and Cole, who works with me. We all met with the WIFA director last week, I think the week before, right after the legislation passed, and he's like, "We hear you. We don't even know what's in the bill yet. We'll get back to you, but we got it. Page is on the list. We'll deal with it." So we just got to keep, relentless pressure gently applied. That's what we do. And so water is the top priority, I know. Housing, just real quickly, the Legislative Study Committee on Housing happened yesterday. They kicked off. There's going to be recommendations to the new governor and the new legislature by the end of the year. And with regard to Page, there'll be affordable workforce housing. Affordable workforce housing, especially for essential workers. That is one of the major issues that they're talking about. And also short-term rentals, and those impacts are going to be discussed. So it's going to be a very comprehensive housing discussion. But more to come on that. I already just mentioned that. They did give, this legislation signed by the governor does give the cities and towns more authority with regard to short-term rentals. So where they took some away from the cities and towns, this gives a little bit more power back to the cities and towns. Future issues with regard to, like I just mentioned, housing. I don't know about the homelessness issues here compared to the metro areas, but also along interstates. It's really become a rural Arizona issue too. It's not just an urban issue. But Darren, I'm helping him on an Altex issue with regard to an alcohol facility for the city. Economic development, broadband is another major issue that the governor's, the Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act. Almost done, Mr. Vice Mayor. I saw you look at the clock. Just wanted you to know this, that there's a discretionary money that the governor has between now and the end of the year. So we're working on that for infrastructure, for broadband investment in rural Arizona. They're really trying to focus on the tribes, and so want to make sure that they're also adjacent communities to the tribal nations. And that's about it. I'm trying to went as fast as I could, and I'd be happy to answer your questions.
Good job. Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions for him quick? Or?
Okay. All right. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Please let me know if you have any questions on anything we talked about or
Thanks
cut
for
out.
making the trip up there.
Oh, you bet. Yeah, I was with the utility last night, so glad to stay here overnight. Thank you.
And I do want to say, just in an attaboy for Tom, that without Tom, there's no way we would have got that roundabout, because literally it came down to the last 48 hours, and arm twisting. And luckily, we found a Republican that was willing to stand up for Page, because we were just running into wall after wall after wall. So, I mean, the small amount of money that we spent with him over the last couple of years has come back enormously for the citizens of Page. So I think it's been a good move. And thank you for all your hard work, and Cole as well, for that matter.
Thank you. Very kind of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is discussion possible act with city council pertaining to the welcome signs.
Oh.
Just so you know, I didn't like any of them.
What? During our budget meeting, council was presented with new welcome to Page signs. A couple of the council members mentioned that perhaps they would like some changes to the signs. So this has been Robin's, once again, baby. She has done all the legwork on this. We went to a different sign maker, Yesco, out of Utah, and I think that they interpreted more of what like Teresa and Rich were saying, as far as they wanted it to look more like a mountain than just a piece of metal. And so I don't know what your preferences is, but can you back up one, Kane? This slide, and then the top that gets rid of that white.
Yeah, I
think
like the white.
that it pops. And they also said that they could put in lighting that goes underneath the waves to light it up at night. And then where else, Robin, was it?
All around the edges.
All around the edges, so that when you're coming into town at night, you still would be, it wouldn't be lit up necessarily, but it'd be an outline and a, so pretty creative, actually.
Okay.
So this funding is big enough
Luminous.
that I still need to come back to council and get a go-ahead to go through the bid process, and that's what I'm looking for tonight. We have two very capable sign makers that this is what they do for a living. So we need to put it out for bid and see what they come up with as far as price. They both know what our budget is, so I think at least these two are going to come into that range. But there may be others that are interested as well. And
So we would pick a design and then you would put that out to bid?
no, we'll actually both design.
Be design build contractor putting out?
We would include these as far as this is the concept that we're looking for, and see what if other people want to create, they can. But we got approval from both of these sign makers that we could use these in the bid process.
Gotcha, okay. So these are conceptual ideas?
Right.
And then they...
And the Yesco, the second ones that we went out, we actually had to pay them a small stipend for the artists to come out and do renderings and small engineering. They all stay within that 16 to 20 foot range, 25 foot range. So once we get firm numbers, then we'll bring back actual selections for you, but they're all going to be similar to this. Myself, I like the second one's the best. But
Do we have locations in mind? Because sometimes that influences design, of course, as well.
we were thinking basically of putting them pretty close to exactly where they are now.
Okay.
I mean,
So off on the side of the road, off the road?
Yeah.
Not like in the middle of the roundabout?
no.
Gotcha.
I don't.
Just wanted to make sure.
I don't think you can put them in the middle of the roundabout.
Just want to make sure. that's-
Houseboat will take them out
Yeah.
first time around.
I mean, other places do flower pots and that kind of stuff, but I don't think Paige can do that. So I guess I'm looking for a motion.
Yeah, how tall are the current ones?
I don't even know. They're not very big.
They're not,
12 to 16 feet.
Yeah, 12, 16 feet.
yeah,
if that.
I kind of thought.
That gives you a conceptual there. This one does is of people standing.
I move we authorize the city manager to go out for bids on the signs and welcome signs.
Second.
We moved and seconded. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is discussion of possible action by City Council pertaining to a mural on the privacy wall on North Navajo near 10th Avenue. No.
Council's aware of, you want me to go or you want to go?
Pardon?
You want me to go?
Yeah.
Council's aware of the vandalism that happened to the wall here on North Navajo. The residents of the wall were nice enough to attempt to try and fix it, which didn't help it much either, but bless their soul for giving it a shot. It has been a passion of Sherry Potasik's the last few years to start creating mural opportunities in this community. Arizona has currently, I don't even know what you would call it, but communities are participating in murals. And what it is, there's probably a total of close to 20 now. It's a pin that you receive if you go to each one of these communities. So you get your picture taken in front of the mural, you bring it to City Hall, and you get a pin, and you'll get an Arizona map. And you can see all the different places that you have. So it's a collaboration which actually came from the City of Page's idea. It came from Tim and Sherry and Greg. And Tim has been a big motivation fact. It's funny that his little community is involved in it now as well. So Sherry had brought it forward about a year or so ago with different things, with wings and different ideas for different places around town. And we got a pretty cold reception from council, so we really didn't pursue it much further. We decided to bring this forward. This would be done by Susan Tucker from the school district. She's the lead art teacher over there, and she was very excited. It shows some of the work that she has done in the past at other residents. She would have her art club do the work. We would buy the paint. They would do the work after school, so starting in August and early morning weekends to do it. I do want to let you know that, of course, you received a letter today that one of past council members is very opposed to anything like this. So, we understand that potentially it could be a contentious idea, but we're looking for direction from council. This was probably the most unobtrusive landscape that we could come up with that we thought wasn't going to be offensive to anybody. It's off the beaten path, so it's not a mainscape for the center of town. But to let you know, and to be completely forthcoming, Dugan Warner is totally against this and any concept of murals at all in our community. So there you go.
And I liked the idea when we first brought it up about the murals, but I thought it should be somewhere like on the city building or something. I don't think it should be over there because you're going right into the residential. You can bring a bunch more people over there, and with the tourists driving by, they're gonna be looking at the wall and crashing into one another. The whole idea when we put that wall up was to make it disappear, not make it an eyesore.
And to let council know too, either way that we get directive tonight, Kyle and his crew, will start repairing it. We did actually Kyle and I discussed this probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, and then this opportunity came up, so we had to wait till the next city council meeting. So that, whichever way council goes, we don't really have a bone in this fight. We'll take directive from you.
Who's first?
It saddens me to hear that you thought your reception was cold before about the mural idea, and maybe we weren't bubbling over with enthusiasm. But I personally like the idea of some murals in appropriate areas in the town, especially public areas. Maybe encourage a commercial establishment that has frontage, that type of thing. back of Safeway, some huge canvases are actually out there. And initially, I like the idea of a simple landscape mural somewhere, but I'm with John on this one. It's my neighborhood, so I drive every day, and I looked at it critically, and it does disappear. It is a great color for that. It is uniform, and it's just there, and it's kind of semi-service commercial on the other side there. So it seems there are other appropriate locations than that one for me. But I want to have some murals, so hopefully we didn't put the kibosh on that. And if we need to re-support it somehow, I thought our directive was just to come back with a plan rather than just, we love murals, like where and thematic concepts and that type of stuff.
Yeah, I'm personally opposed to it. I applaud the idea, and it's great, but I'm very disappointed in us as a city that we didn't immediately go and get that freaking wall repainted, get rid of that color. There's tourists to go down to the Hyatt, going out to the airport. We were supposed to be looking at 10th Avenue and Arrow to make those more pleasantly, I don't know, for tourists going down on tour buses and different things going out the airport, and we haven't done anything to either one of those.
Right. Well, I wish you would express that, prior to a council meeting a few weeks early rather than on the dais. So, thank you.
But anyhow, and in talking, and I did talk to Dugan on this, and he isn't opposed to all murals, just the location possibly and stuff like that. So,
Do you want to speak? I like the idea of murals. I think that this would have been a great place to, place that type of mural, but apparently I don't have the support of the rest of the council in that matter. But, Sherry, please continue. Want to see something, some artwork.
Okay.
Okay.
We have directive.
You need a directive or need a motion? Because
Now we don't even need a motion. We'll just die if we're without a
I would like to see
motion.
us pursue the murals. I like the ones that we come up with before.
yeah, on the
But I
end
think
of
they
the,
need to be on the city building or somewhere conducive to all that extra traffic and stuff.
Okay.
Thank you.
You bet.
Next item is discussion of possible action by the city council pertaining to a public defender for the city of Page.
I'll make a motion that we approve the public defender contract with Michael Bennett.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay. Next item is discussion and possible action by the city council pertaining to a contract with the University Officers of Evaluation of Educational Effectiveness, EOEE, for the city drug court program. Who's got that?
This was part of our grant application, funding for this. We already had the price quote and they were on board, so it's already in our grant budget. It's covered by the federal funds that we receive for our drug court. And essentially they will assist us in evaluating the efficacy of our efforts over there. But because of the amount, we need council approval.
Move to approve the UOEEE contract for the drug court evaluation service.
Second. And I would like to make just one comment. At some point when it's appropriate, it'd be great to hear a report on the startup of the drug court. Thank you.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. That brings us to bid awards, which is 14-1, and we're going to move it to the end of the executive sessions. So under departments, we have none. Next three items are executive sessions, so somebody want to make a motion to go into executive?
Make a motion that the council proceed into executive session in this room.
You say in this room?
Did I say in this room? I said in this room. Is that where we're supposed to meet?
I think that makes most sense in here. It's more comfortable.
For all three consecutively?
To be the lingo on this one. I'm going to defer the motion making to Councilor Yank on this one. He knows the right lingo. After you, sir.
I move we go into executive session for all three sessions consecutively and stay in this room.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? None. All right.